Hello, WikiTree. We are here. Just the three of us today, Eowyn, Mags, and I.
Happy coffee.
Happy Diet Mountain Dew.
Happy tea. We have lots of people here, I see, so far.
We do. It's exciting.
We have Susie, Mindy, Ross, Isabel, Chris, Ron.
Hey, Susie.
Crystal, Fran, Natalie. Okay, I think.
Can I share something really quick?
Mm-hmm.
Can I share how I'm going to add to my family tree this year?
Like Meg says no.
I don't care about
Yay! Congratulations, Eowyn.
Thank you. I'm excited.
We're excited for you.
We're excited, yes. Something to distract you from the rest of us. Yeah, you haven't been calling me back lately. What's up with this?
I know.
And we also have Jillian. I don't know.
Oh, Jillian's here.
Yeah. Jillian. I don't think I've seen her on one of these yet.
No, she's been trying to get to them.
Is it Jillian or Jillian?
Jillian.
Sorry, Jillian. Okay. So we have
yes, he did, Susie.
Did he propose yesterday? Are you going to tell us the story?
Oh.
Yeah. So he had other stuff planned, but we went to go see the movie Sonic the Hedgehog, which is great. Everyone should go and see it. It was very fun. But it was like halfway through, and we were in the theater watching it, and I don't know, he just said he just felt like it was the right moment, and he asked me, like, in the middle of the movie, just kind of quietly, like, if I would marry him.
He didn't get on the sticky floor on one knee?
Because that'd be gross, really gross.
The popcorn floor you'd have walked out with.
And I said, yes, and then we snuggled up and finished watching the movie. It was very sweet. I'm not a big, like, attention person, and so for me, it was perfect.
Yesterday was my parents' 50th anniversary, and I called them because their wedding day, my dad called, my mom said, want to get married. They on Valentine's Day, they find a preacher, they get a thing, they get married, they go to IHOP for celebratory lunch, and then they go and watch the movie Downhill Racer.
I love your parents.
I think they went to Atlanta for the movie. I'm not sure, but so Downhill Racer and IHOP are a part of their day every day.
So we have, we'll have like a Sonic tradition every year, I'm sure. And now we decided we would get a pet hedgehog.
Oh.
During the ceremony?
And call him Valentine.
Oh, that would be cute.
Pet hedgehog.
Named Valentine.
That's cute. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yay.
Now we can actually go back to WikiTree stuff now.
Okay.
Oh, are we here for that? I thought we were just talking.
Oh, really just here for me. That's really all that matters. But we'll talk about the rest of the stuff anyway.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about the Rangers project. That's our big thing for today. But we'll, do our normal looking at the profile of the week, the photos, the member of the week, and then the question of the week. If Mags wants to go ahead and start with that.
No. The question of the week is a really fun question of the week. It's an interesting question of the week. It's technical. It's how do you go beyond your names and dates in your genealogy? And a lot of people were talking about the fact that they want to try and get their ancestor to come alive. And that's a direct quote from Donald Pelton. I want to get my ancestors to come alive. And people were saying, I want to give my family color. I want not like the colorized pictures from My Heritage that they released this week, but real color, like their life, what they did. So people were talking about how the mentors had helped them understand how to bring their relatives alive and to do more by read it for yourself. So the digital research that's out there, how to find stuff. People were talking about how they're actually doing their research to add color, what kinds of things that they're looking for. how their families lived, their neighbors, finding information about their neighborhood from censuses to build a place study as well as an ancestor study. Find out their neighbors from the census records and find out information about them. Eowyn had a great answer on the how. And she says that she loves maps. For instance, some of the old township plat maps really turned me on. Now, I don't know if she posted that yesterday. No, that was 4 days ago. So it wasn't because of the ring.
That wasn't me.
Oh, no, that's Nick Andriola. Sorry.
That's not even close to Eowyn Langhoff.
No, it's not. I just saw your top. Oh my gosh.
Fired.
I want to correlate what he wants to correlate what he sees on the map to the route of the census taker's book and to the location of the neighboring households where often all the wives and husbands all have sons and daughters, and my direct line came from. So that's really interesting. Probably the best answer, I'm going to scroll up here and read the whole thing for you, is one from Leandra Ford. And she says, check the census data, view the birth, death, marriage records for occupations, places of marriages, witnesses, informants, causes of death, newspapers. Cause of death may lead to further research, details about an accident, an epidemic, etc. Make note of all mentions in newspapers, no matter how trivial they seem at the time. I used to be amused at the social chat columns which stated who visited their relatives on the weekend and not take it seriously until I worked an adoption case for a DNA match, and that social column placed the bio parents in the same location at the same time. Interesting. Check passengers lists if the person immigrated. Check military records. In Australia, there's a lot of information available online for free about ancestors who served in the military in wartime. Land records. Check history groups, local area where the person may have lived, in archives in the area. For pioneers, check for books on the area in which they lived. Research the social issues of local history relevant to the person's lifetime and how that may have impacted upon the person. If they changed occupation or went bankrupt or moved, especially immigrated, what may have contributed to that? Old maps may be useful. Where there was more than one choice for a church in which to get married, research the church if it wasn't the person's regular church. Is there a likely reason why it was chosen? A local church that had the longest nave was often chosen by brides who had an elaborate gown and they wanted ample opportunity to show it off in their wedding. That's really a great post from Leandra Ford, and it really, really kind of brings home what you do on trying to add color or add life to your ancestors. Really interesting.
That's a great answer.
Yep.
Chris says that he uses Tour Builder for his census stuff, and it looks like it just creates a little. I looked it up. Looks like it creates a little map, where they went from place to place. Looks like it's through Google. I think.
Right. If I'm researching a family where it's fairly common name and there are a lot of people who live in the state, I'll get a big map of the state and put it up on my wall and start putting pins with pieces of paper on it to show where everybody lived. And I also do that on Google Maps. Google Maps, though, is not as easy to get to when you're sitting looking at something and you want to look up and see if that's right and then get right back to work.
That's a good idea, trying to see which ones are populated where.
Yeah, I'm a visual person, so.
Me too. So that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Does anybody else add anything in the chat? Anybody? How do you add? Pip said draft cards and census records. News. I think newspapers also, really get to the kind of a little biography in newspapers. I think old newspapers are really interesting because they'll give you, especially for small towns, they'll be like, oh, he broke his leg on this day and he went to the hospital. And
well, that was John Wilkes Booth, wasn't it? Library of Congress may have old tax assessment maps from Diane Hildebrandt. And Susie says she's doing something similar for her one name stories, draft cards, church records. Tour Builder. I thought you said Tour Builder. I was like a tour, like a torrent. Church records are great for extras. Yeah, I'm currently trying to find my spouse's maternal line. We have a mitochondrial DNA test, and I have been in newspapers.com for days, and it's the only place that I have found information that connects the family back further, because there's no records of the Irish immigrants to the Ottawa Valley, a lot of them who worked on the canal. So I did find one that said that Patrick O'Donnell was considered an Ottawa pioneer, but doing Ottawa pioneer Patrick O'Donnell does not return anything.
Weird. That's weird.
Yeah. And Eowyn is giving something to add color to her kids doing research. They're going to look on Facebook and see that gorgeous ring, because she posted it in the futures group.
Family history for the future.
Yeah, genealogy is going to be a whole different ball game, in 1-2 generations. So
watch out what you post on Facebook, babe.
Mm-hmm. Look, I found my great grandmother's Facebook page. Okay, so I don't know if you all are familiar, kind of going to this question, that we host a weekly 52 Ancestors prompt, which goes back to, what Amy Johnson Crow does, her weekly, the 52 Ancestors. So it kind of builds upon, creating a biography, telling your stories about your ancestor. This week was favorite discovery, which I also wanted to talk about briefly. Our member of the week, Margaret Summit, who participates weekly in our 52 Ancestors Challenge. What I just wanted to read her 52 Ancestors post. She says tomorrow night at the Mukilteo Historical Society meeting, I'll do a brief presentation on a discovery I made in the allotment records of unenrolled Washington Indians. In the disposition of her daughter, Mary Harvick Chrisman, asking for land for herself and her children, I found that the wife of James Harvick, called Susie, was sister to Mary, the wife of Mukilteo co-founder Jacob Fowler. The profile for Susie is, we'll look at that in a second, and then says, Mary claims that she is the first cousin to Louisa Fowler Sinclair, daughter of Jacob Fowler. Even if she didn't have the spelling of names and exact dates, you don't make a mistake on a relationship like that, especially since Louisa was still living at the time. So that was Margaret's discovery this week, and this is the profile she linked to. So which I thought, just wanted to share. That was really interesting. And she doesn't really know the first name of the person, just that she was called Susie. She was a Native American, and I'm still not sure on her first name. So just wanted to share that. I don't know. Thank you, everybody who does post on the 52 Ancestors, sharing your stories with us. And thank you for those like Margaret who participate weekly.
Yeah, it's awesome. Those have been so popular, the 52 Ancestors and the 52 photos. Like, super happy with how many people have joined in on those.
Yeah.
Oops. And I'm going to put a plug in right here for the weekend chat. If you follow weekend_chat for a tag, every week, Pip and others do a weekend chat, and it's super fun. Like WikiTreeers just come and chat about everything, pretty much. And if you want to get to know some of your fellow WikiTreeers and just have a casual little chit chat, that's the place to do it. Yep.
And I guess we'll go into the 52 photos then, since we're already on 52 theme. Those 6 was hairstyle. I don't know if you guys saw these, some crazy hairstyles. Some normal, some very beautiful and very extreme, I think. Just all the ranges.
My dad had an afro when I was a baby, so all my baby pictures is like me with no hair at all, and my dad had this super huge afro.
My dad had kind of an afro too. My mom told me that he got a perm once and so he had this.
Oh, that's a pretty picture. I like that one.
My dad's hairstyle has not changed since he was born.
Well, he never had hair and still doesn't have hair?
No, it's all exactly the same, parted and everything, yep.
With these profile pictures that highlight the
The bun?
Hairstyle. Oh, look.
Here's one, the
Look, they're doing his hair outside in the woods.
(1920s) there.
Yeah. Yep.
This is a very recent Missy S. Berryman. That's a great hair.
She has pretty awesome curly hair.
People who have straight hair want curly hair, and people who have curly hair want straight hair.
It's true. You know, when I was young, I had straight hair, and I was trying to curl it. And then when I got into my teens, it got curly. So now I want it straight. I can't.
One of our sons had straight hair until he was into his teens, and then it started curling. That is a picture that creeps me out and floors at the same time.
It's actually the photo of the week for this week, coming week. I mean, how much time and effort it takes to grow and maintain a long hair.
Well, and if anybody who's ever had long hair who had straight hair, they go back to it, Sarah.
Oh, sorry.
They have to have gotten their hair wet, braided it, and then unbraided it for the picture for it to turn out ripply like that.
Yeah.
That must have taken like 6 weeks beforehand.
Just for a picture, and then they probably just cut it all off.
Oh yeah, yeah. They just shared it right off.
I'm trying to grow out my hair, but my hair grows really slow. So look at that little thing.
Purple.
My hair salon.
Oh, fun! Look at all that naga hide.
Oh, that person's hiding their face.
But the girls behind the counter are very excited.
Yes. Probably very happy that their salon is being featured in a photo. That's a fun little updo.
Yeah.
On there.
Looks like a little, you know, like those dogs that have little bunt tail, like the little short stuffy tails. That's what it reminds me.
Oh, whoever their their descendant is, it's like going.
I'm sorry.
Did you say that about her hair?
Hairstyles, you know, change over time. Usually, that's a good way to tell an age of a photo too, is the hairstyle.
So wait, go back. So somebody who knows something about photographs, what's up with the chain and the watch on her? I'm assuming that's a watch.
Looks like it.
Like one of those little.
A teacher? Was there some profession where that was a normal piece of their attire? It is a watch. Interesting.
Yeah. Did anybody? I'm not looking at the chat. Anybody commenting on it? And then there's a lot of
hair like that in the 70s.
Yeah, I was seeing that. Nat said that.
Just to answer Jan's question really quick about 52 ancestors, yes, you can catch up. Just jump in and start and keep going.
Jude says that frequently women in different time periods wore long hair, not just for the style, but for religious reasons. So they wouldn't ever have to cut it off.
I think that goes with men, like in the beards as well. Like for like I think I saw some beard photos on the actual G2G post. There was one.
That's lamb chops, isn't it? When you do your.
Pip said his grandma had a watch and she wore it like that.
Oh, cool.
Let's see if there are any other.
It's a watch on a watch fob. And Ross says she thinks it looks more like a locket.
Yeah, I was thinking locket too, but.
Woo!
Yeah.
Back to the afro. Is it an afro? It's not an African American person.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, that was all for 52 photos. Thank you for sharing, everybody. And then I guess we will go to our last thing on our agenda today. Our profile of the week, Frederick Douglass. he had a very interesting. I say this every time, but they all have very interesting lives, I think. So, Frederick Douglass, he was separated from his mother at a young age. He didn't know who his father was, but there was an assumption that maybe he was a white man, maybe an owner, when maybe one of his owners when he was young, but he didn't know really anything about his father's identity. Since he was separated from his mother, he lived with his maternal grandmother. And then when his first owner died, he went to live with Thomas Auld, which was very good for him because his Thomas's sister-in-law Sophia taught Frederick a lot of different things a lot about education. That's where he started to learn, because as a slave, he probably didn't get a really good education, but Sophia, she taught him a lot. And then when she wasn't able to continue, he would actually barter with people on the streets to continue his education, which I thought, was really cool. He was bartering people not to get not to get material things, but to further his education. Then he was taken away and he had a cruel owner. But then he came back to Thomas Auld. And that owner, he felt very guilty about being a slave owner, and Frederick on Thomas's deathbed told him that he forgave him, that it wasn't him that he hated slavery. And then he actually changed his last name to Douglas after a poem by Walter Scott, which was called Lady of the Lake. So he took it after the hero in that poem.
Huh.
Changed his last name to Douglas. In the poem it was with one S. He added another S. I'm not sure why, but and then he became free. He went to the Underground Railroad. He became a very famous abolitionist. And yeah, if you guys have a chance, you should read up on him. I learned a lot about him. And then, yeah.
Do you remember, Mags, am I crazy, or was at Roots Tech a few years ago? Wasn't there a character actor that went around as Frederick Douglass?
I do believe so.
Like, he looked so much like him. And he just was very, he stayed in character the whole time.
Yeah, at Roots Tech, they have troops of people who wander around in different stages of dress from different parts of history, and it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
One year they had a bagpipe group.
Yeah.
Who were walking around and playing. You had to stop talking until they went past, but it was beautiful.
They were so loud. I remember we were at the booth and it was like, what is that sound? One year they had those drummers, like it was Oriental drummers or something. Yes. That was equally loud.
Boom, boom.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Frederick Douglass, everybody.
That's a good profile.
Yeah. Well, it's because he's connected to the tree, but not by, his parents or his ancestors, more like his wife's lines and stuff. So, because, he didn't know his father, and we don't really have a father for him.
Jude is a fan, and she says that you can easily find his books and that they're well written and very profound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a writer too. And it's just him learning from not really having a proper education, him getting taught by his owner and then bartering people on the streets and just taking it upon himself to learn. So
Isabella Racino, and I just love saying your name, Isabella. It was lovely to feature him for Black History Month, which it is. And Diane Hildebrandt said that he spoke at abolitionist conventions in the 1830s. They were held in Putnam, now Zanesville, Ohio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had
Zanesville, Ohio once.
I have never.
Maybe you should.
Been through Zanesville.
Yep. So I guess we crossed most things off the list already, and we can go to our main topic of the day. The Rangers Project.
Everybody's favorite topic, the Rangers.
Ooh.
Now I picked this one for this week because the Rangers are probably one of the most thankless projects on WikiTree. Like they get a lot of flack, not a lot of positive attention. So we're going to give them some positive attention today. A little bit of history as to why we have a Rangers project. Several years ago, we had a couple of really active WikiTreeers who ended up leaving, like under not the happiest circumstances, and they did a lot of damage to the tree. They came back under like fake accounts and did pretty much like one of the things you can do is merge like people who shouldn't be merged, because then you merge family lines that aren't the same. And it's totally destructive to the site. And so that's what was happening, is there was a lot of that going on, and just straight up vandalism. And so we designed the Rangers Project so that we would have kind of like forest rangers. They're there to watch the tree and to keep it safe. And they're, the greeters, we always say, are kind of our first line, the front line. The Rangers, for sure, the second line. Like, they have specific feeds that they can watch so they can monitor the activity that's going on. And I know there's a lot of misconceptions about Rangers. When we first started them, they were called the police force. And they were a lot. And that's really not.
Oh, they were called that. That's not what we called them.
No, we called them. They were called that a lot in G2G. But that's not their purpose. Like, they're not there. They're not spying. They're not there to babysit. They have three. There's three purposes to the Rangers. One, they're watching for vandals who intentionally cause damage. This used to happen. Not super regularly, but often. And then with the Rangers, it really doesn't happen that often anymore, because we have people watching almost 24/7, and they catch this stuff pretty quickly.
Somebody was actually doing some nefarious stuff last week, and the Rangers caught it within like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And were able to help the person understand what was going on.
Yeah. So they help us prevent serious vandalism. They watch for new members who are accidentally doing harm, because we have the vandals that are doing it intentionally. Then you just have well-intentioned new members who don't really know what they're doing yet. So they watch for that. And they either, they'll go and comment if they think they can help, or they'll refer the person to a mentor so that the person can get help so that they can be successful on WikiTree. And then they also watch for unexpected technical problems. So they, you probably don't hear a lot about vandals or technical problems anymore because of the Rangers and the watching that they do. So, they're not there to spy. That's not what the Rangers is about. They're actually super helpful in the background. Like, they're there to help us keep the tree safe. Man, it's made a huge difference.
I can sum up what Rangers do really quickly.
I was gonna say, Mags is a Ranger once a week.
I have been on the Rangers project since before it started. Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you want to talk for a minute just about being a Ranger.
Being a Ranger is like quietly, when your kids are all asleep in your house and you check in on them every now and then to make sure everybody's okay. That's kind of how I feel about Rangers. And the only time you really worry about your kid that's sound asleep is when they're not in their bed and you find out they're in the bathroom sick, or they're jumping up and down and they're vandalizing your evening of kid-free zone, right?
Uh-huh.
So you check on your kids. So I have a story that I do a 3-hour block of Ranger time where I watch for the explosions. You know, that's what rangers do. They're looking for the things that are glaringly, obviously outliers of what's going on. So I do 3 hours, and every week when I do my slots, I have this one person who shows up in my feed that reminds me constantly what it is that I'm watching the feeds for. And I'm going to say and this is how the name shows up. And I've never met them. I've never talked to them. I've never said anything to them, but they make my life right when I'm ranging. The name is capital K BLOOM. Kabloom.
And Mags isn't saying that she's causing any explosions.
No,
That's her name.
It reminds me that that's what I'm looking for, is for the bombs landing in the feeds that are so out of sorts that something needs to be looked at closer. So I don't think rangers are out for nitpicking or trying to find people that are not doing stuff. Rangers are out there trying to find the things that aren't going right with the whole picture.
For sure.
Kabloom. It's a really, really rewarding job in and of itself, because when you have an opportunity to reach out to somebody as a ranger and gently say, hey, I realize you're new and you might not understand some of what WikiTree is about, and have a few conversations with somebody and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that. That's one of the biggest comments that I have about WikiTree, you know, when I was mentoring or being a greeter or now rangering, is, wow, I didn't realize that. So being able to educate people and bring people up to speed very gently and efficiently while being a ranger is a big part of that job. It is not about being a policeman.
No, and rangers also, we have a lot of rangers who don't just watch for vandalism or, you know, problems. They watch for good stuff.
Yes.
When they see somebody doing good things, they reach out and say thank you or good job or way to go.
I spend so much of my time while I'm watching the feeds thanking people that I send out a lot of thank yous during my ranger time. That's a part of it.
There was Diane asked how many rangers are there? I don't know if we have.
There's like 70 something, I think.
I can tell us.
Let me look real quick.
Who will find it first, Mags or Eowyn? It's a race.
See how many people.
I got it. It's 106.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
That said, there are still time slots that are available.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested in being a ranger, let's go to the Rangers project page. There's a link to a post where you can join. The minimum would be an hour a week. To some people, Mags does 3 hours. Some people do a couple shifts a week. You know, the Rangers have a Google group, so if you aren't able to make your shift, you can just post there and somebody will jump in and help cover it. So an hour a week, there's a few little basic requirements. Hold on, let me go back to the project page.
While you're looking, Pip says that he loves the fact that the Rangers find the spammers in G2G.
Yeah, the Rangers are really good at that. The greeters are really good at that, and they're usually gone pretty fast. So they definitely help with that too.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, I never thank you because you do so much good stuff on WikiTree that I'm sure your thank you feed's full. But if you want me to, I don't think you're ever on when I'm on, Chris. So
yeah, Jude, there's a feed for all changes, and then there's a feed for like specifically for merges or for like pre-1700 and pre-1500. So just there's different feeds that you can watch for. Is those feeds only accessible to Rangers, Eowyn, or is anybody can see?
Anyone who has the link can look at them, but we don't really put the links out there. The Rangers are linked to them automatically when they get the badges.
Which is probably a good thing, because it's, you know, you don't want people perseverating over what other people are doing.
And they're not hidden. I think you can get to the all changes one from any profile.
It's just a list of everybody, the contributions in like a time order. So
But I think the merge one and the pre-1700 one, I don't think those are really linked anywhere.
No, I don't think so.
But I think
you were going to tell us about.
I want to say the arborists also have the merge feed. I think they watch that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think leaders watch the pre-1700 one pretty close just to see what's up with their projects and stuff. Just to watch for like project profile changes.
You were getting ready to tell us what the requirements were for being a ranger.
Yeah, there are a few. You need to have been on WikiTree for at least 3 months, have 1,000 or more contributions, and you need to be a member in one or more other projects. Just because, to watch and for things, you need to have a pretty good understanding of the site and what to look for and what would stand out as being incorrect. Ability to do 1 hour shift per week, and then not be part of a mentor intervention within 3 months.
Yeah, it's just like if you're already on WikiTree for a set hour every day doing WikiTree stuff, like you don't have to be like staring at the feed the whole hour, you just
Although you can if you're really interested.
if you really want to.
It's fun sometimes when you don't have a lot of other stuff on your plate, which never ever happens, but you can watch the feed and see some really interesting stuff people are doing too,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good learning experience too, because you get to see what other people are doing and maybe learn some things that you didn't know too.
Yep.
Yeah, we love our rangers. We'd love to have more rangers. It really is a great project.
Does anybody have any more questions about rangers? Ranger project. Each day of the week has a fun name too, depending on what day of the week you ranger.
True.
So you can get a cool week badge. Like Thursday is Thor Thursday. So I don't see any questions. I don't think I have any questions. And Mags, you're in the range. I mean, I think we're all in the Ranger project anyway, so I don't really have any questions for myself. So,
and the other thing that the Rangers get to point out to people is that when they're talking to somebody and there's an issue and they say, well, this person's doing this or that person's doing this, is being able to teach people how to get into the problems with members process instead of sitting and stewing about things or WikiTreeing while angry, is getting into the members problems with members process so that you can find help for yourself and help for the other person involved and see how to resolve issues.
We'll probably do that for one of our monthly ones where we have a topic. We'll probably do the problems with members as a topic. That'd be a really good one to talk about.
Jelaine is talking about, first off, she said that the PGM project gets watched pretty closely by the leaders. But also, she also points out that there are requirements when you're a leader of a project or a team lead on a project that you have to do certain things. And one of those options to do is being a ranger.
Yeah, leaders have to ranger, mentor, or mediate.
Mm-hmm.
Isabel's question, she asked if they could get a pay raise. And I say, yes, I will give you 100% more than you're currently getting.
Yeah, and Amy also points out that there are often floaters when there's a need to fill in, somebody's not available to do their time. There are people who float, who fill in.
Yeah, we do have a few floater rangers who are there to fill in. And Jelaine asked if rangers are the first folks who might submit a mentor intervention request. They do, yeah. They submit when they see the need, for sure.
Is there?
Rangers.
Yep.
Yeah, because again, the rangers aren't there to, like, we do have, WikiTreeers are friendly and helpful. So there are rangers who go out of their way to be friendly and helpful. That's not the specific role of the project, though. So when they do see a problem, they go through the problems with members process just like anybody else does, which usually, at some point leads to a mentor intervention request or a new mentor request if they're a new member. So
do you get people educated and up to speed?
And that's the other thing too, is we're not trying to bust people unless they're serious vandals, and then we do want to catch that. But for people who are just innocently making mistakes, Like, we don't want to come down heavy-handed. That's not the point. We want the help. Like, we're here. That's why we have greeters and mentors and, you know, volunteer coordinators and the appreciation team. It's like we want to build people up so they're successful on WikiTree. We don't want to knock them down.
Right.
You know, and discourage them so then they leave. So that's
we just want to help everybody.
Yeah. Like anyone who's genuinely here to participate, we want to help them have the best experience they can.
What is it that Mr. Witten says often is that there are a lot of people who do things in the best of they're working to do something good, and they don't realize that what they're doing is not quite what the system needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of people get mad when a new member like does duplicates or doesn't merge.
Jill Elaine just said one person per profile concept.
They don't know. I mean, Wiki is different than a lot of sites, and so they come here anticipating that it's exactly the same as, you know, all the other sites that they go to, and it's not. So they do have to learn.
There's a fascinating question from Jude. So were all the problems that those original vandals caused corrected? I can say absolutely that those original vandals, those were corrected.
I did a lot of them.
Teams got together, and Eowyn was a team unto herself.
Yeah, it was. It took forever.
Yes.
It's not easy. Like, that's why we watch, because it's
the earlier we catch it.
Yeah, the earlier we catch it, the less we have to fix.
Yeah, and this one that popped up last week, it's been it's been helped. It's the person was helped, and they get it. It was a nightmare. Yes,
it was. Honestly, yeah, it was not a fun thing.
Yes,
but we got a really great thing out of it. I mean, you know,
who knows we got the Rangers project.
Who knows what we would have missed without the Rangers? So good amount of bad things.
Yeah, Chris, waste your time doing something else, man. Really, Chris.
Yeah.
Really.
So.
But and we're still smiling. Eowyn's still smiling. I'm still smiling. Sarah's still smiling. So.
Well, yeah, because this was. I mean, it's been 7 years, 6 years. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
And we haven't had anything not like that. We haven't had anything like that since we started the Rangers.
No, the people who started this were a particular group of people who were specifically trying to do harm to WikiTree, and we want our tree healthy. And
we do have people who have tried to come back and do that, but again, because we're watching, because of the Rangers, we
catch stuff. So we catch the kabloom. I send a note to Eowyn almost weekly when kabloom shows up on my feed.
She does.
I say all is right with the world. Kabloom is here. Kabloom. Well, thank you. Thank you for thanking everyone who worked on those first problems.
Yeah. And thank you, Rangers.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Rangers. You don't get to hear that often. So next time you see a Ranger, thank them.
Yeah, if they thank you, thank them back.
Thank them back.
Just so it'd be like a thank you war. You can thank the one most, you know. So
if you have somebody that thanks you out of the blue, it could be a Ranger. You didn't even realize.
Hello, Stephen.
Hi, Stephen. Yeah, Pip said the greeters try to catch people coming back. And actually, that's true. And the greeters are super awesome at that. Yep. Like, they catch them very quickly. Very, very quickly. It's pretty awesome, actually.
Okay, we just have everybody on WikiTree is great. Yep. With Rangers, the greeters, the everybody. So.
Yeah.
Our elf is great.
Aw, thanks.
You should put up when you come into the chat, you should put in the WikiTree elf as your name.
You really should.
It's true. Okay, I guess we're coming to the end, unless we have any more questions or things we want to talk about the Rangers. But I think we covered mostly everything: how to join, what the Rangers are, how great the Rangers are, thanking the Rangers. So until next time, I guess.
I think next week we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about the.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the greeters next time, and we will have a special guest.
Yay!
That's not one of us three, but another.
It's not one of us. We're special all the time.
Because you'll find out. We can tell you now, but you'll find out later. Anyway, mostly.
I'm not in the know, so I will be just as everybody else.
It will be very exciting for you.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Okay. Crystal also said WikiTree fairies, like the elves and the fairies.
I am such a fairy. You people have no idea. I even have a fairy godson. I do.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I guess we'll head off. Thank you guys for watching. So I always love when you guys are here chatting us up, talking to each other. So we will see you next Saturday. We'll talk about greeters and other fun stuff.